laugh for a career.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to even do something like that, you know. And I don't ever take it for granted. I am thankful that I've been able to do it for so long too, you know.
One of the pioneers in Trinidad, I would say, well, in terms of in this modern social media type thing.
For the past 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. This year will be approaching 11. But yeah, the brand has developed so much over the years, and I've still been able to maintain my curiosity about art, and also me being able to laugh too, no boy. Even though it started off as, hey, let me try something. Now it's a full-fledged business. Like I have a business that I run in, and you know, I don't have a whole heap of employees, but I have people to pay when the month come. So being able to structure it in such a way that I still find that sense of laughter within myself is amazing to me.
So as you talk about a business, I mean, we're gonna do a deep dive more into your characters and what laughter is about. But in terms of, as you mentioned about you have people that you pay now, right, which is now a serious thing.
Yes, of course.
And because livelihoods. Do you find that? So this is twofold. Do you find, one, that every time people engage with you, you're expected to make them laugh, and secondly, in the business of comedy,
right,
is there pressure behind that to constantly put out things in a way that is not booed then? Right.
I mean, you know how Trinidad culture is.
Exactly.
Like I have been.
If you could make it here, you could make it anywhere.
I have been in situations where people just walk up to me and say, "Make me laugh," and I will watch them and be like, "When we make you laugh?" You say, "Usually laugh, man." I say, "Bro, in my eyes, let me tell you something. Trinidadians or Trinbagonians on the whole, they are their own characters. They put on their own shows, whether it be by a bar in St. James, you know, if you're home in a lime. So I don't put myself separate and apart from any, you know, Trinbagonian walking around here, no boy. I looking for a laugh too. You understand?
You're just feeding off the energy.
I looking for a laugh too. So in those moments, I just play off of my strengths, and I might give them a little character. I'm like, what do you mean make you laugh? Move from me in front of my face, please. I might hit them something like that, you know. And just to kind of, because some of them just get upset. If some of them like, well, you ain't funny, boy, dog, boy, you ain't thing. I go, all right, cool, no problem. No problem.
And you go your way, or you're like...
I just engage. I just always engage. But I find joy in being around people, because I know a lot of people who are funnier than me. You understand? What separates me from people who may be funnier is that I've been consistently doing this thing. And
you have a name.
I've had discipline too. That that's the only thing you really could rely on in order to grow anything, no boy. Like you can't say you growing vegetables outside and just go, you plant the seed and you never come back outside to wet it now. But you're going around telling everybody, yeah boy, yeah, some cucumber coming there just now, boy. Yeah, 2 weeks ago sprout. You never went out in the backyard and wet it though.
Nothing is easy.
You're walking around telling people you're funny, I funny, but where you know, you don't have any discipline. You have to find that within yourself.
It's a craft.
I know how to find it. You know, in the beginning it was like, yo, social media boy thing. Everybody liking your videos, whatever. But then you have to sit with yourself and be like, okay, this God has blessed me with this opportunity here. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to take it for granted and just live off of the hype? And I the man boy thing. I have a social media with how much ever thousands of followers. Or are you going to sit down and structure your life in such a way where, you know, you could actually plant the seed and watch it grow into something magnificent that could inspire other people, you know? And again, I'm blessed to be able to continuously do that now.
So in that, inspiration is a key, of course, key factor for what you do, and it drives you.
Definitely, that inspiration. I think inspiration drives me more than anything, because within all the characters that I have, they were also inspired by somebody that I would have probably stumbled across on my journey when I was a little boy, you know, family members, sisters, mothers, fathers, you know, there's always some sort of inspiration. Or I tell people, people always ask me, where's come up with all these sketches, boy? Like, we just be meditating, you just be pulling when the night come.
Smoking glue?
Yeah, you just be smoking glue. Crazy glue you're smoking. I be like, no, I'm just very observant. Like, you could sit down outside the back of your house and you could watch 2 ants going back and forth at each other and build a story from that.
And get kicks. You know, one time we were doing, I know, remember Lie, the show that we produced. In hearing people's stories, when you can look at certain things, like 2 pigeons on a line,
correct,
and you could just look at them moving and ask yourself, what are they talking about? And make up a skit
correct,
as a result of that. You know, there's this one that goes around with I don't know if you saw the goat. The goat where it goes to, you know, like a dog is barking at it, and there's this whole Jamaican accent around it with the goat. And I'm just saying that with the creativity and the mindset of observation more than anything else. So you're basically just mirroring culture and society and making people practically laugh about themselves. Isn't that what?
That's correct. That's correct. It's all about experience and telling a story that people could relate to at the end of the day. You know, a lot of the content that I put out, even though there's humor in it, there's a lot of substance and lessons within the laughter about it. You know, I always say comedy, especially in our culture, comedy, you could use it as a veil to talk about serious topics. So like right now we are actually CPR, Penelope Spencer, Cecilia Salazar, and myself, we have a play called Two Fat Fellas that is out right now. We just finished Queen's Hall. We headed to South this weekend. We will be in CLR, and then we go into, we may go back to Queen's Hall again, right? And when people hear
this coming out after this weekend, but
but I'm still plugging it still, you know. I'll still get the plug still.
But for people, you know, just as you plug that, you said you might be coming back to Queen's Hall.
Right.
Is there ever a time that is then recorded and put up on like Pavilion Plus or available to people to see it, or does that take away from the fact that future earnings?
I don't think it does, because what we do, so like the last play we would have done, which is 7 Year Itch, we did do a pay-per-view on Pavilion. Right. So we wouldn't put it up indefinitely.
It's never the same though. I mean, even though you see it, it's still funny, but nothing is like coming to see it live, you know, theater.
Nothing is like coming to see it live.
Yeah.
You know, you might be able to watch it on Pavilion for a period of time, but coming to the play and really experiencing it is a totally different thing.
So there's a couple things in there, and I know we kind of go in a bit all over the place, but it all comes down to the power of laughter. And what you've done in your craft is you've not only been able to look at us as a society, and we've spoken about it on several shows where you mentioned about Trinis being Trinis. I mean, we love them. We are Trini. We Trini to the bone, but at the same time, we are fashionably unimpressed. So to make someone laugh is a real feat.
Correct.
You know, but the couple things that I still want answered with regards to the seriousness in the business of it and the pressures of always having to make people laugh and getting booed. How do you feel about that? And what determines, you said it just now that you know people funnier than you. What determines who is then funny? Because you might say that, and then I look at that person that you determine is funnier than you, and I don't find them funny. Is it a mood thing? Is it a time and place? Is it the particular topic? Or
I just think it's personal preference, and you know, being able to relate to somebody is something that has to be that person. Probably from the age 6, 7, when you really start to create memories that you remember, you know, being able to relate to humor, it had to be that you experience it some way, shape or form in your life already. You know, that's why some people say some people are funny and some people funny, because you could literally relate to this person because subconsciously it probably happened to you already now, whatever they're speaking about, you know, or the tone. you just enjoy listening to that tone that they have, the humility. Some people relate to so many different things. People like people who loud and boisterous. You know, some people don't like that at all. People look like Kyle Boss. Kyle Boss have a very kind of subtle humor.
Subtle vibes, yeah.
You know? It not loud at all. It have people who love
but
that.
Facial expressions.
Facial expressions that sell it. You know, Certified Samson is go over the top. He go do the you know, and
skilly
bang and thing, and people love it. So it's really down to like personal preference and what connects with you at the end of the day.
And I would say as you call those three names to add to names like yourself and even some of the veterans, you know, the Tommy Joseph, the Larrys and of this world, you know, the people who pave the way for others to come about. It really is a proud thing because comedy is not something that I would have thought I would have really connected with Trinidad and Tobago at the time. I mean, there was always the tents that you would go to. There's extempo. There were things that we would laugh at. And again, the power of laughter and all of that certainly changed the mood. Because even if for a moment we go back to things like extempo and go into these tents, as you mentioned, the topics or the what you're discussing or what you're laughing about might be serious, but we're saying it in a way that we need a purge. We need to let off some of that steam because we'd combust if we simply don't. And to laugh at ourselves is something that I think Trinis do very well.
Yeah, they do it very well.
But sometimes not everything.
They do it at a point where it's be like, okay, because
not everything is a joke.
Yeah, not everything is a joke.
And hence, what's that saying? Laugh and cry does live in the same house. Is that's it?
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you something. It's amazing to find. You could literally find humor in anything. Life, death, politics, religion. You could find humor in everything. Is really up to you, the person who's putting out your art, to make a decision if it is. You should make it humorous, no boy. There are a lot of times that people send me videos and I choose not to participate because it's not about a hype for me. You know, at the end of the day, if I put in out something, I really wanted to also have a message behind it as well, no? Or to highlight something that, you know, my community probably not tuned into. Because not everybody's listening to the news. Yeah. Sometimes I may listen to the news on something serious going on here, and I will bring it on the comedic side, just to highlight that, hey, all you hear about this? You know, I might have the humor in it, but all you hear what's going on here, this is a serious thing, you know.
Yeah.
You understand? And then and only then people may comment and say, you know, I didn't know that was taking place. Let me go and read up on it, you know.
But you're highlighting it, so like you said, one of your focus is on inspiration and also awareness. But at the same time, so using your platform to do that, and it resonates with people and stays with them because of the fact that it's coming through again the power of laughter.
Correct.
But as you would say, there are videos that people would send you and they'd find fun they'd find it funny.
They would,
but for me, it's almost traumatizing that we find certain things funny and you put it off because it's not directly impacting you. If the roles were reversed, would you be laughing at that same thing if someone sent it? Like somebody getting horn and running out a building. People laugh and they make a big joke about it, but there's a seriousness to that. If the man then gets shot, or something happens to the woman later on, is not that funny. You know, what was they say, all skin teeth they smile? Yeah. I feel like I'm busting a couple of them, you know, that you know, laughter seems to come around a lot of these things. But as I was saying about, you could find fun, you could find joke in anything. Right. But to me, it's also the person that's delivering it, because someone like a Kevin Hart can deliver any line, and if it's your personal preference, I'm not really a huge fan of too much cussing, because I find you can use words. There's an English language. There's certain things that an F-bomb you need. Yeah. But too much of it then becomes unnecessary, and it takes away from the fact that
messages.
Where's the humor?
Would be lost within the obscenity.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, but again, what I wanted to before we head to the break to ask is, do you have the pressure in not just in yourself, like how you said, some people come up to you and say, "Hey, make my laugh already," or they come up with a character, and you're human too. You might be in a mood, you know, and like I said, it's your craft as well. So not every time you go out you want to be a comedian to someone, but I know you understand it comes with the territory. Yeah. But also in creating the stuff that you mightn't be like the productions and other things like that, that there's always this pressure to make people laugh, and it's where they are at the time.
I honestly don't put that pressure on myself, you know. I try to be myself as much as possible, especially when I'm out of character, you know. There are instances where people tell me, boy, you're boring, boy, you know. And I am so comfortable in my skin that I'm glad I'm boring. Robert, I like being bored, you know, because it's in that boredom is where the creativity comes. You know what I mean? So me being home, my trainers entertain me, you know. So
I'm sure vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah. when they catch me doing my videos and stuff like that. But there's a sense of security within me, and me being comfortable in my own skin, that I could be in any situation, any conversation, any party, you know, any settings, and I don't feel pressured at all to make people laugh. I mean, if you talk to me for long enough, you might be laughing, but
because your viewpoint, I'm sure how you see the world is different, even in those moments when you are not in character, but based on what you say or how you see something. I find in our conversations, I mean, you're not in character when we having conversations, but just the way you might say, you know, I laugh at now because just the way you might tell me something, even this morning, I would find it funny, and it's an energy too. But at the same time, there's time and place, and as you said, in that boredom, I say it very often as well, where Denzel Washington said it, you know, if you're seeing me during the week for free, why would you pay to see me on the weekend? So if you're in character and you're making people laugh at every opportunity, then why they come into to pay, or why would they want to see your social media? Because it comes like
you see me every day.
I see you every day.
It come like Carnival. Imagine if Carnival was all through the year. I don't think the numbers will drop tremendously.
Nothing.
There's that anticipation, knowing that it's coming back around, that make you feel like, yo, I need to come out of this cold and head back down to Trini.
But as man, if Carnival was every day, and so in other words, the women, nobody the dress code. You could imagine you go into the bank and you just seeing tongue and beads. I
feel like I get fed up still. I'm telling you.
Did it become desensitized?
Is that mystery? I just, you know, like
less is more.
You know, when I see you on the road money, you saw that girl from the bank who was wow. It's the mystery. It's the mystery.
But so we're going to take a short break. We're talking about the power of laughter, but I really want to get into the understanding, because there's so much to unpack. One of which is, we said it very, very casually just now when you talk about your productions, but theater is a big thing, and a big thing for Trini. So we're taking a short break. When we come back, we're talking about more about the power of laughter. Smile.
We're back for. Yeah?
This Easter, celebrate more, spend less. Only at Passad's The Food King. Easter celebration of value is here. Stock up and save big on your everyday favorites. Swiss Chinatown noodles, 454 grams, 2 packs for $19. Blue Sea tuna chunks in oil or water, 3 tins, only $25. Coca-Cola 2 liter, 2 bottles for $20. Fresh harvest seasoned carrots, 4 tins for $20. Creamery ice cream, 2 gallons for $99. Dutch potatoes, 5 pounds, just $10. Lotus soybean oil, 3 liters for $49.99. Sierra chicken franks, 3 packs for $20. Matix peanut butter, 250 grams, 2 for $19.99. Perdix chicken nuggets, 300 grams, $19.99. Country Pride all-purpose flour, 10 kilograms, $59.99. Plus more incredible deals in store this Easter at Passad's The Food King. Offers end April 8th or while stocks last.
Passad, quality value, that's our way. The real Passad's, we're here to stay. The Food King Passad's.
Can you do this? Struggling with picky eating? Or unexplained loss of appetite? Or tired of trying to gain weight with no results? Apetamin is here to help. This powerful appetite stimulant encourages healthier eating, supports weight gain, and improves BMI, perfect for both adults and children. Only Apetamin contains lysine, an essential amino acid that boosts appetite, builds muscle, supports growth, and aids calcium absorption. Take control of your appetite and reach your weight gain goals with Apetamin. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
This is Manhood, and we are talking about the power of laughter.
Again, you know, with people just laughing, it's the most contagious thing.
Yeah.
You're hearing somebody with a good laugh. I mean, sometimes you could hear an annoying laugh too, but they have people with a good laugh that just becomes infectious. And people, you know, there's that saying where people won't really remember how you made them feel. And if they look at you and not say, "Hey, he's a class clown," but he's funny or humorous or good energy, it really is impacting. It goes a long way rather than somebody just say, "He's a sour."
Yeah, I more so. I mean, when people ask you, you know, what you want to be remembered as or for, I want to remember as being kind and being inspirational to others around me. Not so much funny. You know, that's part of it, yes. But I don't want to be funny and remembered as a mean, you know, just negative person about it.
People up again because that's not funny.
Yeah, that's not funny.
You might get a little laughed in that at
Correct,
the time,
right.
but it is, you know, there's something I read where it says judge people by their intention, not their action. Judge yourself by your actions, not your intention.
You see?
Because you never know where they really are coming from.
Correct.
So if you're saying something and it's a little tongue in cheek, and you say something about someone and you get a little chuckle from it, but if you're getting really nasty and sarcastic, then that's not really...
Especially when you meet people for the first time. So you have to be very, observant about what you say and how you say it, especially when you are a public figure. So that's why my main focus when I meet people is to be kind. You know? And be very cautious about what you say and how you say it. But wrong my peers, talk galore, you know. Yeah,
but again,
just be poking at each other through.
But that's okay because again, you know the intention.
Correct,
you know that person.
They know it too,
and it's Trini.
Yeah.
So when we're saying things like how you tell someone, you know, we growing up, you say a tall man, a short man, you know, or porky, or these kind of things, or tita, you know, these different different names you call, you know, people, you know, where they call it, I don't know,
Bobby Head. Anybody ever call it Bobby Head?
Nah, but I mean, I suppose now. But again, it becomes intention. Do you think that person's being mean or nasty or being light-hearted? But you have to know, when enough is enough too, because then you could go into the realm of bullying and even with cyberbullying and people in their smallness who put comments and think, it's funny, looking for likes. To me, there's a difference between that, as we're talking about the power of laughter, there's a difference between that and being unkind
and just being nasty
and you feeling good because you think to lift yourself up you must put someone down. You don't have to dim anybody's light.
Correct.
And what I love is hearing from you the importance of not just the kindness, but in that kindness, the inspirational part. And what will be the glue that will stick to that for memory and all the conversations we have is the fact that it comes with humor.
Correct.
The way your platform to provide that messaging is one that is not something that everybody has. And that's why when you say that comedy or that you know people funnier than you, I would say I've met people who are funny, but I would not say in Trinidad that I've met someone funnier than you because our interaction is our interaction. I laugh. I laugh heartily. And when I meet other people like Junior Lee or you know other persons, I may have a laugh. I may have a laugh with someone who's very serious, but just at the time, they just say something or do something that's just funny, you know. They're just out of the box, and it's just, you know, or you look at something and laugh about it.
I think people and when they see me especially, they already laughing in their mind, you know, because they already have this picture painted of me
Yeah,
on the social
that's you.
media. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So whether they're expecting to laugh or not, I know there's a sort of joy that comes with be like, hey, this one here, this one, this wig wearing one here. You know what I mean? So just that alone is make me feel as though you're doing God's work right now. I've been in a lot of situations over the years that has continuously humbled me and remind me how blessed I am and just to remain grateful now, to be able to do something that I love to do, because I love doing what I do in Arab.
But Rudy, what theater, boy, like that's a big one. That's not something that you know. I used to be, you know, I was married to an actress who went off, and she was marriage. She was
you lie. Never know that, you know. Me never know that, you know.
No, you know. She was a fantastic actress, you know.
Right.
And of course, you know, I'd see her do theater and in other environments, and I could appreciate how hard the craft is. It's not an easy thing to pull off, and you all do it, you know, in this environment.
Nicky Crosby always said that comedy is a serious business, you know. Again, I was blessed to have the opportunity to venture into theater because of Nicky Crosby and the relationship that we built over the years on the radio station. I was able to meet Penelope Spencer, Cecilia,
all brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. So they sort of molded me into the actor that I am today without going to school. I didn't do any university courses or anything. I just always had a like do it mentality, you know. Like I just watched Marshall documentary the other day where he spoke about saying yes to things that he wasn't sure about. Like he said yes a lot of times, even when his spirit was telling him say yes. Say yes, you know, and I just I did the same thing. I just keep saying yes to opportunities that I wasn't 100% sure about, but I always believe that, hey, God ain't go guide you in the wrong direction, bro. You know what I mean? Just because theater wasn't on my cards. I love production. I still want to do movies and sitcoms and these sort of things, but theater has helped me built that side of my career as well.
But is it like, you know, you hear a lot of singers who are prolific, are very good writers, and you find that makes them even better in their craft. So in your case, the production background that you have makes you so good in front of the camera.
Of course, definitely. Theater is the hardest thing you could do, you know. In the arts, theater is the hardest thing you could go on a camera and stop and edit and thing and do post-production. Theater with a live audience is the hardest thing you could do, because
voice projection.
You literally is the most vulnerable thing you could do, because you're acting, you're dealing with your emotions. Sometimes you may have to sing, sometimes you may have to dance. You know, your positioning, you have to be aware of the other actors around you. It's hard.
You're out of foil.
Out of foil, completely out of foil, you know, and I fell in love with it too, and I didn't even know that it was something I would have liked doing now. So I'm glad I was exposed to it in that way.
What I want you to do is take us through, because I mean, as we talk about the power of laughter here, and sometimes to laugh at yourself, because don't take things too seriously. I mean, there are things that you should be taking seriously, but in life, I always remember my grandfather saying, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes.
Right.
And sometimes how you look at things, it's really to say, is it really that serious? Focus on the problem at hand and let the focus. Always remember the problem is the problem, and don't look at all the other aspects of it, because you don't want our cortisol build up. That could lead to so many other things. But I want you to take me through almost like a storyline of your characters and where they may have come from, and maybe if you have a favorite.
We're going into like 3 episodes here. 3 episodes in one now.
All right, let's limit it then. There's something that I mentioned just the other day on an episode where it says the rule of 2, not 3. You know, anytime you give people more than 3 things, the brain can't take it. It's either left or right, especially with men. But in this case, I would ask you, give me a top 3, but also give me the story behind it.
The people top 3, I would believe is Buck, you know, Miss Janice, Pinky, for sure. And a lot of people love Alrighty. I don't really do him as much now, but yeah. I believe that's the top 3 characters.
But in terms of, if you could just give me a little, you know, asking for just a little demo of the character, so to speak, but the story behind it, like where did that come
All right,
from?
so Miss Janice is my grandmother.
Like splitting voice, personality, you know, the way she deals with her family members and the way she talks about life on the whole. That's my grandmother. And funny story, Robert, when I started to do characters, I was living with my grandmother, right? And
She's still alive?
she's still alive, thank God for that. You know, she's still alive, she's still here. She probably will watch this. She allowed me to use her home as a production house, right? When I started to do videos, I was doing videos in front of the camera as myself, and then after a while the characters came along, right? I was doing short stories, and I say, you know, so maybe I should try characters, and then I started to do the intro and then go into the sketch now. And I was using her house. I was using
You were using her and her house.
correct. So
it's okay.
when Miss Janice came about, and she realized that he onto something. You know what my grandmother do? She went in her wig basket and she presented me with my first ever wig. She said, here, well, because before I used to just tie my t-shirt around my head, no boy, to signify that I am playing a woman character. And she gave me one of her most prized possessions. And
She became costume design.
Listen, I got a long speech with her too, but she's like, this here, you see this here? This is one of my favorite wigs. You hear what I'm telling you? I'm giving you it. Up to this day, I still have that wig. But it's those small gestures that really propel me into the person that I am today, and the brand that really leading the way when it comes to the comedy that I do now is those small little gestures. I love your mommy German.
I was just gonna say I could feel through you the pride that she has for you.
Yeah.
How does she feel? What was her reaction when she first realized that it was her?
It was her. She just laugh. She just laugh. She love it, boy. She love it. In the earlies, her friends will call her. I will hear her in the bedroom talking. Yes, girl, and she in the bedroom. That is not. I never do that. That is not me. And she just carrying on laughing. So I know she's enjoy every minute of it. Even the Pinky character, Pinky with the blonde wig, that's my sister. I have 2 sisters. So that one is the older one. Splitting personality. You know, she's very business oriented. She very independent. She don't take. You know, you have to be a real strong man to be around the women in my family, because I grew up with predominantly women around me now, right? Even my daughters, I still are around a lot of women when they come. So I have a lot of respect for women, and maybe a lot of people ask me how you do like women characters so well now, boy. It's because I around them my entire life, you know. So being able to portray them is be hard at times too. Like when I on a production and I had to put on a wig in the hot sun whole day, Robert, I be like, how women is do this, boy? I just had to drag it off, boy. I can't do it. Then on top of that is his nails, his eyelashes, his makeup, his lipstick, his this, his that, his high heels, his. Woo!
As you told about that, I remember one person saying, this one of the female influencers saying, imagine the women are going through all of that, having, not eating carbs and sugar for 6-7 months, up waiting for carnival, having to put themselves in this costume, and then all of a sudden you come just to try and teeth our wine just so.
Yeah, boy. Lady woman alone. Lady woman alone.
Woman not on you at that point. She on the photos and the pictures.
Yep.
Buck, come here.
Well, I realize I straighten out my teeth, right? Yeah.
Buck is a character that when I used to live in the valley, I used to live Pity Valley for a little while in Cocoa, in the Cocoa Drive, right by the Panya there. And there was a partner called Buck now, right? He used to play football thing, but he had a buck teeth. Yeah, he had a buck teeth, but he was a street hustler. Anything anything going on in the road, he know everything going on. He's a street man. He will wash cars, you know, if anybody need like water, if water going by them, he will tote the bucket of water, carry it for them, get a little dust for doing that. He was always a community guy, right? And he's a man could fix anything too. So that character is definitely one of my close partners that I grew up with, right? The Ride character now. I'm sure if you live in Diego Martin, or you living anywhere around, you know, St. Anthony's Church, Pity Valley area there, you will know a guy called Sick, right? He's balanced. On social media, once or twice you'll see him. He's balanced like a cigarette on his nose, and he go flip it, catch it in his mouth. Then you get a joke. He always ready to just lift your spirits, no boy. Even though him in himself probably going through a heavy depression.
Yeah.
You know, because he's a heavy drinker. Probably see things in his life that he just can't get past. He always, every time you see her, his job is to make you smile. You know what I mean? So Sick is responsible for the Ride character and that demeanor and, you know, that rock back vibes.
You have an accent or anything, or just?
Boy, that man could do anything, boy. That man would put on a British accent. He would talk to you as a Jamaican. You know, he always entertaining. I just see him, entertainment. I just see him. So big up Sick. I saw him in St. James the other day, and me and he all have vibes. Yeah, but yeah, 90% of the character is
What's your favorite?
My favorite character?
What would you say? Even though the characters are based on people in your life, people that you've been around, some I'm assuming you have a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
Which one would you say you relate with?
Yeah, I think Wetty, boy. I think Wetty. Wetty was actually the first character that I did. But he's a patriot now. He very love his country dearly. You know, love football. Same thing with me. Love the woman all. Like he should like.
When you say you love football, like what team you support? That's how
I support Bayern Munich. That's my team, right? But in the Wetty world, he's big on Trinidad and Tobago football side, right. Nobody. But yeah, he's a Bayern man, right? 6-1 the other day. Yeah, we're coming for that Champions League. We're coming for that. Yeah. So he reminds me a lot of myself. He's shepherd for one person and one person alone, and that woman. You know. You don't take shepherd from anybody else but that woman, eh? When I tell you shepherd. I always tell people you could be shepherd for at least one person, you know. You know?
I was.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being stupid for one person. Just choose the person. You know, people would say it's stupid, people would say it's love, people would say it's spoiling. However you look at it. Sometimes I feel like I shepherd for my wife. Yeah,
but that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
But would you say that part of your relationship dynamic is, you know, they always say a woman will love a man forever or stay with him once he could make her laugh.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Or maybe she probably don't find you funny. Like you find her funny.
Yeah. Well, the relationship I have with my wife, she has been there for me from even before the brand. So. You know, we've been through a lot now, and I think we are at a point in our relationship where we just kind of mirror each other now, like our relationship. You can't change people, you know, and we had to learn all those things as time progressed. You know,
that's an important thing.
Yeah.
Well, that you said there. I mean, when you said it. When you say you can't change people, and a lot of people come into a relationship thinking they're a project. There's something that we could work on.
It's not your project.
And it's not your project. You know, you come into a relationship, and I speak about it where I talk about Khalil Gibran. You know, he talks about in the Prophet, where it says two people must come together to elevate, to add value, not two halves trying to become a whole. And in that sense, if you come and you think you're doing something and I'm going to change that, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, bad. It will never work if you're going with that mentality.
And all you do is frustrate the person because they say,
you frustrate yourself too.
This is how I am. You met me like this. now you want me to change that. What you do is if the person knows that, hey, I mightn't like that, and you don't like it for yourself, and you want to change, and the person's there to assist you through that, through love, from that perspective rather than judgment, then that's okay. But it can't be that you're going in there to say, hey, this is a fixer-upper.
Correct. Yeah, correct. You're very, very right about that. I think partnership and marriage is a commitment, but there's also you understanding that you're in service to this person away. That's all it really is. You made a commitment to be in service to this individual. Whatever level you might think that they're on, with their career, with their personal life, their goals, their aspirations, whatever it may be, you are there to be in service to this person. To their ups, their downs, their hard times, whatever the case is. As soon as you come out of that, problems. Because now you have a whole heap of expectations that never existed when you first met the person.
Never existed.
You know
and to them, it wasn't even part of the...
It wasn't even part of the conversation. I mean, after the jam, Robert, is when you be like, wait, boy, woo, I didn't think I could give this one up. This one here is a special one.
That is it.
So I always say, jamming is a spiritual thing for me. I mean, in my earlier days, I play myself, but now, after learning about me and the things that I want to achieve and stuff like that, marriage was always on the table for me now. Like I know I want to be that guy who is focused. I don't want no big set of distractions and things in my life. And finding the right partner would make or break that.
I remember a friend of mine, Gola, saying that in marriage, what that person really is, which is why you miss that person through whether it be divorce or breakups or even in death, that person was a witness to your life. And to be able to connect, to relate that person that you can be yourself with and understands that even in your moments of, say, mood based on your atmosphere and society and things, being human, that they understand who you really are at the core. And you can move in tandem as opposed to, like you said, trying to fix someone means you're moving in two different directions.
Correct. You're competing. You're automatically competing.
Opposite sides of the spectrum. But you think, hey, I'm going to eventually get them to come over here on this side when it's like, no, we're on a similar journey. So
sometimes I may have to slow down a little bit. She may have to slow down a little bit. Just for us to keep the relationship at a point where we feel as though we're not growing apart from each other, and we on the journey together, as you're saying, about.
But before we go to the break, you have any characters based on her, or anything that you draw from?
You want me to do it on camera for the whole nation? She's always says she's Apples, which is the mother character to Malachi, So Apples is really Caroline, boy. Caroline, tell a Legion really, I go in your bed now. No, go in your bed now. You're not even supposed to be watching ManHOOD. Go in your bed. Yeah, that's my wife. And you really think about it.
We take it a short break. We talk about the power of laughter.
Considering a career in procurement or supply chain? Start the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply (CIPS) program at CTS College. CIPS is internationally recognized as the leading professional accreditation for procurement and supply chain professionals. It covers industry-related topics like strategic sourcing, contract management, and ethical practices. With 1 day of class per week and 6 intake periods, students can get certified in as little as 6 months. Contact CTS College today and ask about our flexible payment options and how you can get up to $2,700 off.
wanted to be a mom. Always wanted to plan when it was going to happen.
What's wrong?
I'm pregnant. I haven't told Andrew yet.
You're not thinking about getting back together with him.
If you need me, I'm just a phone call away, okay?
Doesn't it bother you not having a plan?
Life's got a way of showing you what your next move's gonna be.
Season 2 of Sullivan's Crossing premieres May 13th at 8 p.m. Only on CNC3.
So I know you're telling me, you was asking me about some stories. I have a lot of stories, boy. I have a lot of stories, a lot of things that I experienced that I never thought I would have within the years. One of the most memorable ones is going to the prison. You know, I went to the prison. I was invited to the prison actually because the prison was having
I'm not going to say, be careful how you say certain things. I went to prison, and I know you were invited to.
I was invited to the prison. You know, I almost make a jail already, yeah, but we go there.
With Bucky.
Yeah, so I went to is it remand yard?
In Port of Spain? Or the one in Golden Grove?
No, Golden Grove.
Orange Grove.
Lies up.
Golden Grove, yeah.
Lies up on the highway there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one on the highway. I was invited to just be a part of the jump up now. They have a calypso competition. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I heard they did. And Mickey Crosby and myself went up there. I in my 20s, you know, I never really experienced jail and thing before. I mean, I'm a lime around men who make jail and thing already and come out. But me personally, I never been there. Nobody. So, you know, my boom see winking a little bit. You know, I'm young, and I go on in there.
It would have been if you went in.
Listen. I inside of the robot, and I just try and hold my corner. But, yo, after a while, I realized, like, there's no reason for you to be acting like this now, boy. So I loosen up. You know, some of the men who not serving like long sentences, they came, they are the farmers. You know, they come and they bring plants and vegetables and thing, and it's only then I realize these men watching these sketches in jail too now, boy. So them know me. So like, Rudy is a real fool, boy, is a real caca splash, boy, dog, boy, thing. We just enjoy little sketches. I say, wait, boy, I bring enjoy all in the jail, boy. Wow. So there was a moment that I was in there, and there was a tent, and the prisoners were dressed in all white now, boy. Again, I don't know nothing from nothing. So when I asked one of the prison officers, I say, them fellas under there, I realize they're not moving now, because a lot of the other prisoners, they moving and doing the thing. Them under that tent. So they were the ones that serving life sentence. Them ain't coming out at all. So I did.
But they still been allowed to.
They still been allowed to participate to watch the show now. So they there under the tent, and then I see one do it, Masona. So I started look around. Right?
Me?
Watch Nicky, I watch thing, the man do so. I say, wait, boy, thing. Boom, she start back to wink. I walk across. Where's he saying? He say, yeah. You's that fella who does do them funny thing on social media and porn wig and thing on. I say, well, yeah, boy, that's me, boy. That's me, boy.
Almost apologetic.
Yeah. The man spin wrong, Robert. Watch your partner. I tell you that, boy, brother, boy. Tidy man, there, boy. Hey, soul, yeah. You're real bad, you know. You're real bad, boy, dog, boy. Thing, and him answer to go off. He say, boy, you know how much joy you just bring to me any day. These are men who not seeing the light out there again. You understand? And those are the moments where I realize we're doing important, you know, Rodel. That mission I on and the purpose that God give to you is extremely important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are so many other moments I've been invited and went to the hospital on so many occasions in the children's ward. You know, I've spoken to cancer patients on the last, and that is just my journey. I've had many instances where I realize how it's just a reminder how important life is now.
The power of laughter, as you're saying that, Rody, what it must be like to know that someone in going through palliative care at that moment is asking you to almost be, some of the last moments that will now bring them joy.
Yeah, boy.
To smile before they.
There was a lady that was on her dying bed that I don't know how she got into contact with my mom. She called my mom, and her caregiver at the time spoke to my mom and told her she wanted to see Rudy. Like, that was her last request in a way. That is all she wanted. And, well, of course, you know, I dropped everything I doing. I went down the road, and I almost spent, like, almost the entire day with her, just sitting on the bedside with her. You know, we had moments where we spoke about serious things, and we had moments where she would just laugh wholeheartedly, and both of us laughing about it. And when I left, probably like a week later, she passed. You know what I mean? And those are the things that stick with me the most in a way. Like, outside of the stage lights and the theater and the, you know, the going to LA and being a part of these big shows, those are the things that I remember the most, is them moments. Those life or death moments. Whew, it's chilling.
When you spoke about part of that, because one of my things would be, you get the call and you're going to do that, and you're asking yourself, as you know, as if someone is going to give a motivational speech. You have to prep, you have to do these things, but because you have that confidence to just be, and you don't feel that pressure, you are allowed to just be Rodell, not Roddy. Rodell at that point that still brought a laughter because of that genuine connection and desire to be kind and intense.
It's an energy.
It's an energy.
Definitely an energy.
But what comes from when you said with that energy and that kindness, you hear a lot. I mean, it might be a misconception, but you hear a lot, whether it be Robin Williams and these guys, that the acting by its base is someone being something that they are not.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
It's an illusion. And sometimes the best actors are people who can simply be themselves in terms of not their life, but themselves. But in that state as an actor, you always hear that it's really, especially comedians, are depressed people. But that's not the case with you.
I would say that I've definitely had challenges when it comes to not going down like a particular rabbit hole, because the more sensitive you are to the things around you, the more aware you are of the things around you, is the more that you would want to consume and just learn. And when you're really taking like generally what's going on in the world, it is a depressing thing, you know. And it was a 2017 or probably 2017, close to COVID. I found myself going down that rabbit hole. Like, what sense it make? Why doing nobody? Like, why trying every day to get up here to make people laugh? Look at what is happening. You know, it feel like you're doing nothing. You know, social media going mad. You know, when you watch children right here fighting in the schools, you know, there's always some sort of negative thing going on, and you here trying to be positive, trying to bring a laugh. It's just like you're consumed by all of that. And I had that moment where I just said, boy, I wanted to give up, because what you're doing ain't making no sense, Rodell. This laughter thing, and at the end of the day, the world is a serious place, and you need to buck up and probably contribute in some other way now. And I had to sit with myself, and that's why I tell you, I don't have a problem being bored now, because within that boredom is when you really kind of compartmentalize, you know, your priorities versus things that may be frivolous. You know, you think about your family, you think about your kids, you think about your co-workers, and then the general public and what's happening in the world. And within that time, I had to release it. I had to release it and tell myself, listen, you are not in control of everything. You are in control of your purpose and the things that you want to bring to life and create, and that is all you could really do. That has to be what you could contribute to the world. God already gave you it. So just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about anything else. You know what I mean?
Which is,
whoever need to inspire will inspire.
You know, there's that saying, people, you know, if you don't laugh, you will cry.
Yeah.
And what you bring, as much as in a world of, if we look at it in a military situation or situation of war, you might be the person that picks up the firearm or the backpack or flies a plane or is part of an aircraft carrier. But what you bring to the persons who are not engaged in war, or as you've seen for yourself in the prisons, persons in palliative, in all these environments, persons you don't know you're reaching,
Correct.
the importance of the power of laughter in allowing them some sort of reprieve from what they're going through. You need that moment. If you don't have that moment, your cortisol levels are up all the time. You're going to die.
Yeah. Yep. Most certainly.
And if you die with laughter, then that's not a bad way to go.
Come on. Come on.
What's one of the craziest stories that you have been part of or that has inspired you? Or just being around generally? I mean, we live in Trinidad and Tobago. There's always that story that sticks with you.
Yeah. Story that sticks with me, boy.
Like I remember you told me even the dumpster. There's always that one story that people won't believe is an actual story that happened.
I mean, when you say a story that inspired me to
not even inspired, just something that you just tell yourself, people won't believe if I tell them.
Okay. Well, that dumpster story is one. I used to work in a juice factory. My aunt she still owns a juice factory, and when I left secondary school, I went straight into work mode one time, and she said, "You can come work for me," and I used to go to the factory every day, cut up crates and crates upon crates upon crates of pineapples, right? But she's make fresh juice, orange, and if you know just juice, right? She's make fresh juice. So when I think I done with crate, Robert, another truck pull up with crate again, right? But one day, she normally loads up the panel van and they go to the dump by the bottom there to offload now. And she told me, well, I used to go every Friday. And she sent me with a guy by the name of Charles. He was the driver now. And first time Charles going, I went a couple times by myself. First time Charles going, we going up the highway. I tell Charles, I say, Charles, here what going on? Take off your chain. Take your wallet out your pocket. Put it in the glove compartment. Take off your watch. Put it in the glove compartment. Just take off everything. You don't want no shininess on your brother, right? Charles give me a set attitude. He said, well, you know that, but nobody not going to come around me, boy. I think I different, already. I different, I say different. I say, but this is not your environment. This is not your environment. That you taking off is respecting their environment, right? You listen to me. Pull up by the bottom. Now, as you pull up to the bottom, there's some guys that will run down by the hill just to see what stuff of value you have on the truck now. Once they have nothing of value, they will decide if they want to hop on the truck to take a drop up the road, or they leave you like go up.
They will decide.
You cannot decide that. You cannot play you jumping out of van and telling a boy, hey, come off much. No. Because more than likely, when you reach up on top, they will help you empty out your stuff, right? Instead of you doing it by yourself. So why you going to refuse that help now, boy? Two men jump on. I say, Charles, leave it, boy. Leave it. Don't say nothing. Well, I'm jumping on the truck for I say, Charles, leave it. I young, That is about 19.
Right.
I'm 19,
but you know the thing. 18,
but I've been there already.
Yeah.
Drive up the road, you curling. No, you can't just drive in the dump and dump anywhere. It have particular places to dump now. Where the tractors and them working, you go up on that side. So we went up to the top. Now, when you're driving up there, it's feel like the whole world changing because you leave there and you're seeing the sun. When you reach up, flies are covering the entire windscreen of the vehicle. It looks like the whole mood just changed now, boy. You gotta keep your windows up and the AC off, right? When you reach up on the top, Robert, the guys jump off now. I tell him again, I say, Charles, leave it alone. Open the door. As he open the door, well, jumping up on the truck for ting. Well, I feel like they not even my truck, they woman truck out. I hear bats. And then silence. And I sitting in the van. I'm moving. I ain't even going to check on him.
You don't know.
Checking on him, man.
Burners.
I hear the door open. He come and he sit back down, he close the door. All I hear is, Father, that really hit me, boy. When I look at it, The whole side of his face red, you know. I said, boy, I tell you that, boy. I tell you to cool yourself, boy. I can't believe them. Men and them hit me, boy. They mad. I never coming back inside here again, boy. I talk about a man in his 50s. I never coming back in here again, boy. I said, Charles, you just need to follow the instructions. And them fellas still empty out everything. Help us out. I say, bless brother. You know, some men are jumpy for a little small thing, but just the drop up the road, them must be cool with that. And that's a story that stick with me.
And Charles got up the road.
Charles got up the road. He reached by the office there. He had to put ice on his face, because it red all by eye there. In corner, eye there red. He get hit hard, but hard. The whole day after that. Miss Deborah, I know going back inside.
And then first was he like, have a good day, sir. Law of the jungle. Law of the jungle. But Rode Cumberbatch, it's always a pleasure. And I'm glad we were able to have a further discussion on the power of laughter, because it really, really is important. And the fact that here in your journey that you understand the power of laughter and what you do, and it's not a matter of just making people laugh as a craft or a way of a means of income, but actually as your focus and your calling, which is ultimately inspiration, and inspiration through laughter. Those two are, just simply has to be a bomb at the highest level in a positive way, in terms of a combination to really get that messaging across. Because people remember, one, like we said, how you made them feel, but not only inspired based on the conversation, but the laughter that goes with it. And I find a lot of the persons that I may look at, not even, to me, I would say you all are, when we use the word comedian, it's more humorous or inspirational, is more the tone, because the story that gets you there is just to get you more to open your mind, so
just
to speak.
Just to bring more awareness,
just to bring
different perspective too. Comedy is something that you definitely is about perspective, right? Some sketches can make you angry as hell, and then you need to sit with yourself and ask yourself, why would something like that upset you, boy? So it's really about perspective within anything that you're doing comedic.
And where you sit on the table too, because like you said, if a comedian latches onto you in the front row and is saying all these things, if you're not confident within yourself and you have your own hang-ups, your own inhibitions, it's going to bother you.
Of course.
And also if they're saying certain things like, oh, you look like you get horn plenty, and maybe you did.
If you're taking it as a particular way, correct?
That's it. But again, the intention, remember I said judge somebody on the intention, not the action.
And there's another thing too, you see intention, because in the early, I didn't get it a lot, but when I started to do social media and brought out the women characters, like that was another tone and a different conversation. Why a man being dressing like a woman or putting on a wig as a woman and portraying himself in that light in a way. And
how do you deal with that? I always
tell people, I say, I know what my intention was. I never forget when I had my flicky idea with the eyebrows, because that was the first character that went super viral. I was sitting down in the bathroom doubting myself, and my now wife came to me, and I was sitting down in my drawers about to draw the eyebrows, and I'm like, you really want to do this, boy? And she like, what's going on with you? I say, girl, I haven't doubts about doing this. I know, because one, my father is a Rasta man. I started to study all kind of things, like what people go and think about, they're going and do this woman thing and whatever. And she simply told me, why you're doing it? I say, yeah. I say, I know exactly what is my intentions. She said, well then, once you know that, everything cool now, boy. And that's how I was able to navigate any conversation, and it pertains to that in particular, because we definitely have a taboo here in the Caribbean when it comes to that. You could play anything else, You could play a murderer, you could play a drug dealer, you could play a narcissist, you could play, what's called this next one? You could play a pedophile, You can play all kind of thing on screen, but don't play a woman. You can play Spider-Man and wear jockey shorts, but you can't play a woman as a man, boy. Which I find is absolute nonsense.
But again, as you said, intention. What you're doing, it's for a laugh, and people even hearing this particular conversation about where it comes from powerful women who helped groom the person of good standing that you are today. And if in that portrayal it's purely to showcase that, then there's nothing wrong with that. If you're dressing up as a woman because that's what you connect with, then maybe that might be a different conversation. Because and a lot of times, really, as you would know, people project, and whatever their, you know, a lot of times when you see people have phobias, like even someone who's homophobic, you always hear the conversation. Sometimes it's because they're in fear of maybe, am I somewhat attracted to that? Am I liking that? Do I want to? And therefore, or if someone has an issue with someone being fat, it's because either they were fat or they have fears of becoming that. And it's always, in many cases, a projection.
It's always, many times it's a projection. And again, you have to sit with yourself, boy. The hardest thing in this world is to confront yourself, you know.
It's easier to somebody up or write something on social media.
A lot of people know, especially on how social media has amplified it, a lot of people are putting on a face and putting on a personality, and they're just afraid to just face and sit with themselves, no boy. Like, when I say sit with yourself, I talk about no phone, no scrolling, no nothing, and just sit with your feelings.
Go into your cave.
Yeah.
Sit in that darkness.
I do that a lot. I always preach. Since the beginning of my journey, what changed it was me being able to balance my mental, spiritual, and physical life, no boy. Right? This is my body's my temple. Like, I have to be able to. I am the only one responsible for taking care of this body. Right? How I treat my temple is how I would treat others. You know what I mean? So I take care of my temple, whatever you do, exercise, what you're eating, this, that, whatever, you're dieting, you're gymming, whatever the case is. Then your mental, what you're consuming. Not saying that you can consume something negative, but don't let it overpower. You know, read books, you know, watch documentaries, learn about your past, and, you know, and then your spiritual, you must have a relationship with a higher being. It can't just be about you alone, you know. It can't be about you alone. It had to have some sort of higher being.
After,
yeah. So, you know what I mean?
That's what the music with higher being is God.
Yeah.
God is the boss.
Correct is right.
Everybody are just employees after that.
Have to connect with that boy, you know, and maintaining that balance is our job by itself, you know. But that's something I take pride in, because there are a lot of people who overwork themselves just to stay away from their families. There are a lot of people who over spiritual. Like, you can't have a normal conversation with them without them just being, you know,
pushing something down your throat. Or judging.
Or judging, yeah. You know what I mean?
When in the Bible it actually says, judge ye not, lest you be judged.
Come on.
You can have your opinions, but again, in the same way, Rode, that we people are judging, we can also say in a lot of these cultures and a lot of these movements that you can also say, why is it you must put that on me? You know, it's in the same way. You must allow for everyone to simply be.
Yeah, just be.
Just be. I want to ask you before we wrap, to say that you have to give everybody their just dues. And for you've been a part. You know, we certainly acknowledge the Sprangalangs, the Larrys, the Tommies, the George Gonzalez of Trinidad and Tobago, and even the internationals, the Richard Pryors, etc. And with the advent of social media, I would certainly say that in this influencer or this social media skits that we now see, I would say that you've been one of the first and one of the pioneers to do so. And what I recall a documentary or a podcast I saw recently. I think it's called The Boardroom. One of the few that, again, I saw Michael Jordan on it, and I just gravitated to it. And it was in a setting that you wouldn't expect to see Michael Jordan in, because it wasn't a sporty one. It was him in his entrepreneurial capacity.
Right.
But the question that was posed to him was the conversation of the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And it really impressed me with his response to that was that he doesn't put himself in that light because everybody, based on their era, was a goat. So you can't be the greatest of all time if someone else paved the way. There's nothing that you've done that was done in isolation. Right? You know, there's always that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In this case, he was saying that the Bill Russells, so many other, the Wilt Chamberlains back before him created a path, and they were in that capacity, whether it be the shoes, the ball, the arena, the technology, all of these things made them great at that point. That gave him a platform to become who he was. And then he created a platform for the LeBrons, the Steph Currys, the KDs. And therefore, how can you call someone the greatest of all time when everyone paved a particular way? And then what does that do for the persons that are not being recognized? Because people simply want to be recognized. And I'm saying all of that to say that in your case, with the main ones out there now, the Jordans, the Junior Lees, Jamel, Certified Samson, Kyle Boss, the ones that are being recognized primarily now in terms of, whether we look at it by likes, 600 to a million likes. Do you think that the recognition is there for what you have done in this sphere, almost like a veteran? And not that you're dead, you're still doing your thing, but you've transitioned also into from a more like an entrepreneur as well. Do you feel like the recognition is there, and how do you see yourself? Because I'm coming back full circle to when you said you know people funnier than you.
Right.
It was a lot. It felt like just a blah.
Yeah. I see myself as a big brother, and yes, I do see the recognition. I mean, not everything is said on social media, and not everything is for social media. I have a great relationship with all of those guys that you called, right? I've been very supportive towards Certified Samson's career since the earlier days, So, and Junior Lee as well. We have a great relationship. We call and check up on each other all the time. Even if he out in Canada doing a show, I would drop in and say, "Hey boy, good luck." There was this year, last year. He had a show and I call him and say, "You ready for them?" And he was like about 10 minutes from going on the stage, and we pray on the phone together. You know what I mean? So we have a great relationship, and within it may not be said on the social media, but in our little ecosystem that we have built over the years, even though I probably was one of the first to start it, they actually keep it going, boy, and they actually make it. They make it in such a way where I feel as though you're doing something good, Rodel. For men to see what you're doing and be inspired by it and want to be a part of it too. Like that's something like you can't ask for nothing more, you know what I mean? So when I see these guys doing well, I am doing well. I'm doing well when I see them doing well. Yeah. So as I always tell everybody, there's definitely no competition between us. We all have our communities that we build in. We are representing Trinidad and Tobago on a high level, and I hope that we continue to do that, and I hope to see way more, even the Jordans, the ones that are out there doing their thing. I hope to see more people coming out, man or woman, and just being vulnerable in your space and being able to create, because the moment we stop creating, we will become beaster. As I always say, a man without culture and creativity is a beast, We would start to just a little bad right now.
Without creativity, laughter, we'll die.
Yeah, creativity is important, boy. Is important. Laughter is important. Laughter is, to me, better than physical medicine. Because you could be on your dying bed and your mood alone, it could be healing, but your mood alone is help you heal faster. Having your mental state in a space where you're not full of anxiety and always afraid to venture into new opportunities is important to always have that, take care of that side of it now, and laughter plays a very big role.
Is there any particular mantra you have or particular quote that you live by or guides you?
About a lot, you know. One of the main ones is work in silence and let your success speak, no? You know. Also another one I live on is fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You know, that's one when I go to these schools, I just make sure and tell them that, because there are a lot of people fearful of doing things with their life that they know just is a fire burning within them, but they're studying all kind of thing.
It's like you said, as you said, that one with false evidence appearing real. It comes down to, in Marshall's documentary, when he talks about just saying yes.
Correct.
Because
right.
that fear is there, but by saying yes, you're committing to getting past that and saying, fear, I see you, but I'm going to do one up.
Going and walk right past you.
Walk right past you, and I'm going to show you that I see you and I've disrespected you. Because I know you're not real. You're just in my head. You know? What's your final thoughts to Trinidad and Tobago, the country we love?
Trinidad and Tobago. I just want to always put out there that I appreciate the support that the country on the whole, including I can't leave out Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, has showed me a tremendous amount of love over the years and has supported me through every single thing and journey and show and, you know, series on YouTube. And even sometimes I had to tell them to forgive me, because sometimes I start a series and can't finish it, and, you know, there's 10 years later they're still reminding me, hey, you need to go back and do that now, boy. So there's keep you accountable too. So my little community of Trinidad and Tobago, I thank you for allowing me to express myself the way that I do, and to give you good storytelling and good art, and thank you for watching me grow into the man that I am today, you know, because I am also a very proud husband, proud father, you know, a proud son, because my mom is like right by my side all the time, you know, she's like a pillar in the brand, boy. So I'm just grateful to be able to continue representing us as a people at a high level, and I want to continue climbing and making way and paving way for others to come now, boy. So thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. I wanted to ask you something about manhood, you know, because I'm going through something right now.
Talk to me.
My hairline, boy. My hairline, but I'm thinking about it.
Really?
When you lost your hairline?
Yeah, asking me. No, you know, that's a story, right?
That's a real thing for me.
Ironically, as you talk about Marshall's documentary, right? It was the director of Marshall's documentary.
Yeah.
Way back in 2005. I always tell this, I try to tell this story, that at that point, BT came down to Trinidad and they were looking for a host.
Right.
And so at that point, all the people, they went for this interview over about 300 something people.
Yeah.
And I went in, no set of confidence at all, thinking, I'll just, you know, they asked me to go. I was modeling at the time.
Yeah.
Just came back from England, and I went in and, you know, got selected. And on the day of the shoot, at that point, Island People Mass was coming out, and Tribe was coming out with their first band, as a band. They were a section before in Poison.
Right. Okay, and Tribe was a section in Poison.
Was a section in Poison. Yeah. It was a couple other names before, when it was really about the flight attendants, etc. And then it moved into Tribe as a section when it was still in Poison, all inclusive. And then when it decided to be a big band, so it was that band and Island People Mass. And the director, Bart, who directed Marshall's documentary, said, you have to appeal to all races, shave that head. Because I was getting a little bit follically challenged at that point, because all the years in England, right now the roof blow off. So it's a full-on part. It's a real part we here now, straight off, right? So I had to make sure and part the sea, I had to keep the Red Sea sides down, right? The beard died and the head shaved.
Right.
You see, these are the sacrifices we make for TV. And he said, like I said, I thought at that point it was the gel and the coldness, my hair breaking off. But anyway, he said, and right there, himself and his director of photography, Jesus, in what was Amzel or in St. Anne's at the time, shave my head right there. Shave my head right there, and of course it was so thin at that point it never grew back properly after that. So from that day in 2005 I've been bald 21 years now.
You embrace it well.
So
embrace it well.
So well, I will tell you, even at that point I used to get all kind of names like bullet and point head and cone head and all these different things, and you're just like, I tell people the same thing on this show where we have discussions on size and all these different things. You have what you have. If you calling me those names, that's on you. It's not going to change the shape of my head. I'm not going to, get depressed with body dysmorphia. It is what I embrace. And in my mind, I might say, but bring your girl now. But I see people doing all these things now where they could do tattoo and they could implant and things like that. I'm like, listen, it is what it is. The old Mac tree for me.
Nobody ever call you a big toe. If I get a one.
I'm sure they will now. But you know what? I love them still. I always say judge people by the intention. And so even if someone says that to me, I will always ask myself, listen, that's probably where you are in your life. And if me up, making you feel better in front of your people, well,
I
what are we going to do?
Because I go in ball now, and I going through that transition right now. My wife telling me, boy, cut it off. I cut it off the other day just to see how it look. I didn't like it at all, boy.
You just had to embrace it.
I didn't like it at all. I'm struggling with this one.
Rudy, let me tell you, I know we had a rapper, but I'll tell you, before it's hard because I used to like shampoo in my hair.
Yeah, boy.
I used to like the little things, going to get little products and things like that. You go to the sea, you go in the water, and
but I'm telling you, boy.
21 years later, I still sometimes do so.
No, man.
New muscle memory,
Your cameraman don't have them issues full head of hair.
With the mark, and I look at people sometimes with envy to say, hey, look what you have here. I want.
And they got good different hairstyles. 1 minute he have waves, next minute corn rolls.
I want that. I want the choice.
Bro.
I want the choice.
I go into Turkey, boy.
Get something, but just make sure they don't use pubic hair. You don't want the hairs from you and they stick it on your hair and it looking like pubes.
Yeah, boy, because that pubic hair just be wild all over the place. They gonna know.
They don't want that. They don't want that, and especially if it come with something, right? So when we know by the time people hear this, the production would have been this weekend. But you said you're coming back in Queen's Hall, and I urge people, if you haven't seen this gentleman and the cast in one of these productions, I urge you to go and see it. It really is something. Not if nobody say no watch it on Pavilion and pay-per-view and all these other areas, but do that after you went to the actual theater. There's nothing like being there in person. Taking in what I would call the sixth sense. The sixth sense is something that could never be reproduced on television.
Yeah, so we doing CLR March 21st and 22nd, and then we're doing Central Bank in April 25th and 26th. So
right, so it will be out by April, this episode. So
nice.
You got our full house.
Nice. So we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
The power of laughter, there's certainly nothing like it. Don't take yourself too seriously, but at the same time, be serious about many things in life and understand that laughter is important, but there's also the time and place for everything. And there's no time to really be sarcasm. There's that thing where it talks about sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, but the highest form of intelligence. But timing is everything. Make sure people understand where you're coming from, because nothing is more important than how you make people feel and letting people know that all you wanted to do was to be kind. So laugh it away. Takes more muscles to frown than to smile. So why not smile? Don't put your body under all that set of duress. Rody, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, man. What you think to eat? See these cup on them, these ManHOOD cup on them. But what is that? Nothing in the cup, boy.
Nothing.
Can I ManHOOD is this, boy? Man had to eat, boy.
We looking for sponsors.
Man had to eat. Sponsors! What you organize yourself, please. Man had to eat.
The power of laughter.
Blessed.
ManHOOD, brought to you in part by Lucozade and Solomon's Bespoke.
ManHOOD, brought to you by Lucozade.
You're watching CNC3.